Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Zuko, and today we're doing the pre-order roundup for May. We're going to be talking about the newest figures that you may want to add to your collection. And personally speaking, I think this was a pretty good month. There was a lot of nice things to talk about, as well as freeing, kind of getting into some drama as they always do. Can't wait to talk about that. But I'm ready to go. We got nothing else to really talk about in this intro, so let's get started. Alright, so first up I want to talk about the two Chainsaw Man figures that are coming from S-Fire. One for Chainsaw Man, or Denji, and one for Power. We'll get to Power in a second, but we've seen both of these figures before a couple months back, and they were already painted at the time. It just took a little bit for us to finally be able to pre-order them. Now, this Denji, or Chainsaw Man, is about 26,000 yen. It's pretty expensive, and it is exclusive, so your best bet is to just buy it from the Good Smile site if you like this figure. And I do think there are things to like about this. I think it's a nice pose. I like how his head is very glossy looking. Base looks nice. There's some devil guts kind of just spread around the base just a little bit, but it does add a little bit of, storytelling in a sense. But my problem with this is the same that I have with a lot of Chainsaw Man's figures, and it's just that it's not bloody enough. I feel like with this specific character, with his chainsaws out, and he clearly has some blood on the chainsaws, that there should be more. Or at least his shirt should be dirty. Why is his shirt so clean? He's got like a couple of cuts and bruises on his chest, but like only a little bit. Perhaps I'm being too picky, but I just feel like I can't accept figures of this character unless they're going a little hard with the concept. And only like Eastream, and I think there's like one Figuart Zero figure that have really captured that. There's also the Prime 1 Studio statue, but that thing's like $2,000, and it's kind of a masterpiece, but like way out of my price range, and I think kind of out of the price range of a lot of people. So I don't know, but it's fine. Like, I do again appreciate some of the details on this one. The chainsaws do look like they're scuffed up. That's nice, but it's just not enough for me. Power, on the other hand, I don't really have a problem with. I think this figure looks pretty fantastic, and it's only about like 2,000 yen more than Denji, and yet you're getting so much with this base that really, completes the figure. It just has so much going on with all these blood weapons that she created. And while there was plenty to appreciate on that other base, this just tells us more about her character without even having to know anything about Chainsaw Man, right? I think they did a great job texturing the weapons. You also get Meowie, which is awesome. Meowie's super cute, and I like her face a lot. They can't really mess up Denji's face when he's in the Chainsaw Man mode, but this Power has a fantastic smirk, very arrogant looking, love the sharp teeth. It just really nails what it needs to. It looks pretty colorful because of like the red and the blue contrast. And, it's one of the better figures of her in her work outfit, instead of like the Amakuni one that's in the casual outfit or the Eastream one that's in the same outfit. So I did actually pre-order this. I am absolutely looking forward to it. Won't come out for quite a while. I think it's coming out in June of next year. So we have a long time to wait for this one. But right now, I think if you're not going down like the third-party resin route, I think this is the one to look out for. All right, from Wing, we have Lance Rater, if I said that right. This is another figure in the Falslander series. Pretty expensive at about 27,000 yen. Very simple pose, very static. Not too much going on the base, but everything does look good in terms of the paint job, in terms of the detailing of the outfit. But my one issue with this is that this figure is very similar to the Samurai. It might even be the same character, considering the pink hair and the eyes look basically the same. I think the Samurai has a nicer design. It's also a little bit cheaper, considering it went up for pre-order quite a while ago. But there is like one advantage, I guess, to the Lance, and that is the fact that you could put her helmet down, and it looks a little goofy, but I also love it at the same time. I don't know, I just find that element of this figure to be fun. But yeah, you could see that like the paint quality, despite it being almost entirely black with like really dark metallic plating, it looks fantastic. I think this has a great paint job, and the pink is an awesome contrast to go against all of these dark colors. But I don't know, it's just a shame that this shares a lot of design elements with the Samurai. Doesn't really stand out a lot for me. And I feel like if you weren't planning to get all of them, this might be the one to skip. But don't let me talk you out of buying this if you like it, because it's still a nice figure. I just think it's kind of expensive for what it is, and I think the Samurai kind of did it better. Hatsune Miku NT Style Casual Wear version. Now, this came out of nowhere for me. Not that I didn't know it existed, but I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do right now. I've been thinking about pre-ordering this figure. Even though I'm not like super big into Miku figures, I think they're all beautiful, but there's just so many of them that I never know which one to decide on. But this one's got my attention. I don't know what it is, but she looks absolutely beautiful. I love the volume of her twin tails on this figure, and this outfit's amazing with one small thing. I kind of wish they took a slightly different approach with her dress. I think this concept is great, but I wish it didn't look so, I don't know, plasticky. Maybe if they went for a sheer look instead of this absolutely clear translucent plastic, I might have liked it a little bit more. But I do like that you still get to see her legs through it. I like these shorts that she has on. I'm not exactly sure, but I do love the way her outfit looks. I think it's absolutely amazing looking on her. She's got a great face, if I could find another image of it up close. Absolutely beautiful. And it's not even that expensive. It's 25,000 yen, which sounds like a lot, but this is a 1/6 scale, and it's also a standard release, so you can find this very easily on a discount. I'm kind of just in love with this design. She looks extremely pretty. I love everything about this outfit, and I love the way they did her hair in terms of sculpt and paint. Okay, next up is Lancer / Mysterious Alter Ego. Meltrius, I believe her name is. This is a figure that feels very redundant at this point, unfortunately, because Alter is making this character, but have done it way better. The Alter version is more lively. I think she looks cuter. I like her pose better. And even the penguin is a bit more unique on the Alter figure because it's got a little bow tie. These two are cute. I love the fact that you get a baby penguin with this figure, but they're so basic looking that I feel like you could go to a Walmart or, I don't know, somewhere that sells toys. I can't think of any because Toys R Us is dead. And find a penguin playset or something and then just put the penguin toys on this specific figure and it would be the exact same thing. It looks good. It's good, small company. They're not going to mess it up most likely, but I just don't really understand why I would want this version instead of the other one. I guess if you just really appreciate the original art that this figure is based on, you would maybe want this version. But other than that, this figure just comes across as stiff and kind of boring, and I feel bad saying that, but I don't know, man. Alter just killed it. Alter just really made this one kind of pointless. Sorry if you like this figure. Don't want to upset anybody, but I would just say get the Alter version instead. The flame-haired, burning-eyed hunter Shauna is getting a new figure. This one looks amazing. Wasn't expecting the 38,000 yen price tag. That is a lot for a Shauna figure. She is not a very big character, and this figure does not have an elaborate base to really make this feel justified. That price tag is kind of outrageous. Now, as you turn the figure around a little bit, it starts to become at least a little bit more reasonable as to what they're asking for, because the wingspan, the sculpt of each feather, and the colors on them, they look phenomenal. Really great feather sculpt. Her hair looks fantastic as well. Love that shade of red. Love the details within. Cute face. Love the necklace kind of floating about. All the clothing is flowing. It has this nice billowing to it. Phenomenal looking figure. Great sculpts. But really expensive for what this is. I'm not exactly sure why they're asking for this much. I can just point out things I like about it, sure. Love how her hair is just kind of surrounding her body a little bit. I just love that curvature. But again, I just don't know why they're asking so much. If the base was better, if it had more going on, I feel like I would be able to be all right, I get it. Nice looking figure with a cool base. Okay, but we just have these 2 rings and then a couple of extra support pieces, and it's just kind of that's it? That's all they're doing with this base for that much money? Truthfully though, this figure does have an exceptional paint job though, on the clothing, on the school uniform, and the coat. You could really see it the red down here into the black and then red again on the sleeves. There's a nice application of dark black applied to the green dress and the green top. And then of course the wings, which are primarily orange, but get a bit lighter into a yellow and even a white towards the tips. It's really well painted. I think, though, it might be hard to convince people to buy this figure at the price tag that they're asking for. Maple Breakcore version. This is a version of her that I'm not very familiar with. I always see her in black and red armor with like a huge shield, but this one's a bit more angelic. It's called the Archangel equipment, so that kind of does make sense to me. And I think the concept is that she's got this like powerful ability that just isn't something she likes using because it's super strong. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I do like how she looks. I feel like it's the first figure of this character that is reasonably priced. This one is just about 22,000 yen, which might be a lot still, but it is an anime girl in armor plating, so it does kind of make sense at the very least. And I do like the design of the armor quite a bit. I think the figure falls apart a little bit at the special effects. I'm not super impressed with either the base's like blue swirl or the explosion of the core at her chest. I don't know, they both look a little bit unimpressive to me, a little flat. Wish they did a little bit more in that regard, but it still looks kind of cool. It's nothing like too bad or anything. Also, I don't understand the significance of like this wooden board base. I don't know if I really like this. It just kind of clashes for me, but maybe it's significant for the show itself. Maybe this is like based on a specific scene that takes place in a specific area, and this makes sense. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But as someone who doesn't watch this show, doesn't know anything about it, just feel like there's a little bit of a style clash between the figure and the base that she's standing on. Cheryl Nome Anniversary Stage version is just another beautiful figure from Good Smile Company. It's a little expensive, again at 36,000 yen, but like, I feel like this one is at least trying to justify that price tag. This outfit is just bursting with vibrancy and so many little individual components and intricacies to this outfit. I love how many gradients are part of this figure on the feathers, on her hair. The hair is so naturally flowing. She looks absolutely gorgeous. Her face is amazing, and it just has this nice flow to it, you know? The base itself, like the Cheryl Nome name tag, I think is perfect for what they're going for, like the stage play kind of thing, the party, the festival. It's like a show on Broadway or something. It's super neat. But there's one thing about this figure I don't love, and it's the base underneath the name. It is so boring. It is just white with like this little acrylic piece keeping it up. I guess I gotta go back to find those images again. It's just like, you couldn't do something else down there. You couldn't add some like confetti or something, some like colorful ribbons like they're doing on these final images here. This looks so good as like just an extra photoshopped image of the figure, but man, this base is boring. It's so boring, and I feel like they should have added a little bit of color down there. But if you ignore that, if you just look at everything up top, which isn't actually that hard considering she's floating and her feet don't touch the base at all, then it's fine, right? If you like Cheryl Nome, then I feel like this might be one you gotta get. So colorful. I love the colors on this figure. She looks absolutely stunning. Corin from Fire Emblem randomly got a figure announced out of nowhere, which is the trend for these Fire Emblem figures, but they didn't even save it for one hobby. That would have been a great announcement to make that day a little bit more exciting, but they just randomly put it up the day before. So weird of them to do. But we have this really nice figure of Corin now, the Nor Noble version of her. Now, forgive me, haven't played this game. Not the biggest Fire Emblem fan. I do like the games I've played, but completely skipped all the 3DS ones just for some reason. I don't know. I never tried them. But yeah, she looks great. I'm only familiar with the Smash design, so I don't really know what's going on here. I think she has like a dragon stone in her hand, which looks pretty sick. The sword, I kind of wish was the chainsaw sword. That would have been neat, but maybe this version of her doesn't have that. I don't know. But the black and gold metallic plating with that little bit of like red around her waist, I love this color palette. This looks phenomenal on her. The navy blue cape too, I love how it's all tattered up. The color again looks really great. The base has a little bit of an effect swirl, nothing too, exaggerated, which is fine. Just makes it feel like something is about to happen with this pose, which is kind of fun. Yeah, this design of her where she has like her thigh cut out, that's, I don't know, I never really understood that because they had to censor that for Smash. But it's something. I don't mind it, but it's definitely something. And they did her feet really well. I'll point that out. Corin walking around barefoot. You could tell they cared. They individually sculpted her toes, like they did try to make that a feature of the figure. They understand their fan base, right? Yeah, this looks really nice. It is expensive. It's 28,600 yen. But I actually think, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have other pages of this figure open. I think this is a standard release, unlike Roy and that other girl. Sorry, I never played that game either. Those were exclusive, which was kind of a bummer, but I think they made this one a standard release, which means you can find this for probably a better price, or at the very least, you have options. You don't only have to get it from Good Small Company if you don't want to. I just wish I was a little bit more into Fire Emblem because maybe I would be a bit more excited about this, but I feel like this was a matter of time anyway. Like, they would probably make this considering that she's pretty popular, and it seems like anybody who made it in Smash will eventually get a figure, just my hunch. I don't even know who's left. I think they have to make Chrom and Robin if they want to complete the Smash characters, and, you know, they're making good progress on that. But yeah, impressive sculpt altogether. I think they did a great job here. Think I'm repeating myself at this point, so let's move on. Takina is another figure that should have been in the gallery, but she went up like a day or two before, so they chose to exclude her. But just like Chisato, looks great. A little bit more expensive. This one's going to cost you 19,500 yen, but I think that's reasonable. You know, you compare the pistol that Chisato had to the machine gun that Takina has, and it makes sense. You know, that is going to cost a reasonable amount of money to, you know, produce and paint and sculpt and whatnot, so I get it, right? I don't think I ever talked about this, but I'm not exactly sure why they chose to make the bases so different. Like, this one says the name of the show, and it's just shaped completely differently. They look so close to each other in this image that I have to imagine that's what they wanted you to be able to do if you get both, but I don't know. I guess we have to wait and see how this turns out, but I still think it's worth it. They both look great. Both very affordable figures, and I mean, they're spot on, so good stuff. Manjiro Sano Volume 24 cover illustration version. Mikey's new figure is finally up for pre-order, and this is a 27,000 yen figure. It's pretty expensive, and I think for a lot of people it might be a bit too much. But when you look at something like this, you really got to understand that you're paying for just like the design itself, the paint job, right? The amount of work that is going into bringing this to life. Because yeah, there's not a ton going on in this figure outside of the outfit, but in order to get that outfit to look as good as at least these images do, they got to put in a lot of work, right? And I think it just comes down to the individual. Do you find this outfit to be worth the price tag? Personally speaking, I'm not super into Tokyo Revengers. I've seen a couple of episodes of it, but when I look at this figure, I feel like I'm looking at something special. I feel like Orange Rouge is trying to make something, I don't know, rather lavish. I really love the amount of work that are going into these two figures. There's one of Ken as well, Draken, and I think that one looks phenomenal as well. But, you know, we're looking at Mikey here, and I just feel like I don't really see a lot of figures, especially of male characters, that look quite this good, you know? This feels very premium, like you're paying for a figure of a higher grade. Now, granted, we don't know exactly how this figure is going to turn out, but I don't know, man, doesn't this just look special? Doesn't this just look like they're putting their A game into making this look as good as possible? I also love the fact that like they really tried to replicate the manga's art. We could just bring up the special page right here. Like his neck is a little thicker and his head is a bit more rounded, but you know, for transitioning from 2D to 3D, I feel like they did a great job. So, you know, I think it's good. I think this is a really great figure. Not gonna be buying it, so don't expect me to review it or anything, but I gotta give him credit. This shit's good. Hua Shang from Good Smile Art Shanghai, another male figure for you. And this looks way better than I thought it would. I remember seeing the prototype quite a while ago, a couple months back at the very least, and my one major complaint, I guess it wasn't major, but I feel like I would have preferred it if the white butterfly was, instead of just one big one, were instead a bunch of little ones. But with this being done now, finally seeing the paint, and especially this like big glossy wave of blood just kind of like going over the figure a little bit and having it perched on top, I think this looks phenomenal. I love the contrast that this butterfly adds to the figure, and I think Hua himself looks super good. He's got a lot of really long hair, and the bottom of his outfit is just draping down the throne along with his hair. Everything is just draping down on the figure, which looks super sick. Very dignified character. This is a crazy image to show off your figure. I can't see shit. But we'll go back. We'll find some more. Yeah, basically just looks like a Dracula-esque character to me. Very reminiscent of something from like a Castlevania game, I guess. Except he's like hot. Not to say Dracula can't be hot, I'm just saying feels a little bit more specifically aimed at that on this figure. And then he's like stepping on a little skull down here. Poor guy. But yeah, pretty sick. This is 29,800 yen. Pretty expensive, but I feel like there's a lot going on in this figure, so it definitely feels more justified than others. All right, let's talk freeing. We have a bunch of figures to go over in this month, and a couple that I really want to get into, but before we get to those, we'll talk about the rest of the highlights first. First up is the Kyoko Bear Leg Bunny. Not too much to talk about, a nice looking bunny overall, but personally, I feel like the lack of stockings hurts the design a little bit. For me, I feel like with these boots and her gloves, I feel like something's missing without having the black leggings. Now, the weirder thing about this is that they also made a new Chiaki figure, except they made the black bunny version instead of making a bare leg version for this character. I'm not mad that they made a second version for Chiaki, I'm more so just questioning why they didn't do that for Kyoko instead. Now, this color palette, I'm not really the biggest fan of. I feel like they should have made her like pink or something else instead of black. I don't really get it for this character, and as a result, her bunny hood kind of looks like brownies. I don't know, like burnt brownies, the way it's kind of textured up here. I think it's still a cute figure. I don't think it's like a totally off color palette choice for her, but I think I still prefer the original one, and I don't really feel this one adds anything or brings anything to the table. Next up is Suki Uzaki bunny version, just a honestly really smart choice. I don't know if this had a prototype beforehand, but really, who wouldn't want this if you were into bunny figures and you liked this series? Hell, I don't even think you need to like this series to want this bunny figure, because who doesn't like Uzaki's mom? And they can't mess up her face considering she usually, or like always, has her eyes closed, so it looks good. I think it genuinely does, and I think pink is a nice color on her. Shira Ume is a rather unique bunny figure, honestly. This is a Japanese style bunny, and what I think they mean by that is that this kind of looks like a basic bunny suit and a kimono merged into one, or at least that's how I'm interpreting this figure. Somehow though, it looks like she's wearing even less than a normal bunny figure, I guess because there's no stockings, and the cloth is kind of like high cut, I guess, but it looks good. I love the colors on it. You get a lot of nice viewing angles with this figure, of course, a lot to appreciate. The definition on her back honestly does look really good though. But yeah, you know what? This figure is going to take up a ton of space on your shelf because of her pose, but if you can get around that, I think this is pretty nice. Her face is also very pretty. I would say a step up above a lot of other bunny figures for me. Personally, I don't know, I just find this one very alluring, I guess. But then we also had this really nice Assassin Final Ascension version from Fate Grand Order. Like, this reminds me of an Azur Lane bunny, where they would always have like extra accessories or just like set dressing. She's sitting on a chair, she's got a nice rifle, she's wearing something more akin to like, I don't know, a casino outfit. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, but she's also got a poker card in her hand, so it kind of feels fitting for me at the very least. And she's got white stockings, which I feel like freeing should do more. They really don't. It's really a lot of black stockings, which look good, but just a little bit of variance would be nice every now and then. Yeah, this is pretty expensive at 55,000 yen. So you are going to pay up for this one if you want it. But when I look at this, it just feels like a step up from the standard stuff that they released. Like, they wanted to make this one a bit more unique, a bit more special. They wanted to put more effort into making it stand out. And I feel like it's working, you know? It's got a great hair sculpt, the twirly twin tails. Her face looks phenomenal. Love the thick eyebrows of this character, the really bright yellow eyes, the tongue sticking out. Very mischievous in a way. But, you know, I think the pictures do the talking, right? I think you would know if you want this. And I think a lot of people are going to want this one. It's pretty damn good looking, if I do say so myself. Normally, I would have saved this figure for the end of the freeing section because I feel like this is their best showing of this month, along with Shira Ume. I find both of these figures to be great, but we got a couple extras that I feel like I'm going to ramble on about for quite a bit of time, or at least I'm going to try not to, but I know it's going to happen. So first up is the Minori figure from Toradora. This came out of nowhere. They just announced this like on a Tuesday or something. I don't even remember what day it was, but it was a very big surprise. And truthfully, I find this to look great, right? It is very in character, very Genki. I think it looks just like Minori. Nailed the art style of the anime, and the red is the perfect choice for her, right? Not super unique, just like Taiga's figure. There's not really anything special about the suit itself, and I'm not sure if they really nailed the proportions on this figure, but it's fine. It's not exactly right, probably. I feel like she should be a little bit flatter, honestly, but it's fine, right? But they also are making an Ami, and she, again, looks very good. I like the color of her suit, and I like the change that they made to her gloves to go up her arms a little bit, and she's very pretty. I personally would rather have seen her be, I don't know, a bit more arrogant and smug like her, first episode appearances, but it is what it is. That's just something I would have liked to see to make this stand out a little bit more, but whatever. Now, these look great, but they're exclusive and 38,000 yen, or maybe like 39,000 yen. It's about in between 38,500 yen. Extremely expensive for very basic bunny figures. Now, this is just the standard, right? This is just what these bunny figures always cost these days. But when you compare it directly to Taiga, and I don't know why they didn't throw Taiga into this little image as well, just so we could see them all side by side, it just feels like we're getting ripped off a little bit. But I feel like a lot of people always feel like that about this company, that these figures have just gone up and up and up, and it's just not really worth it anymore. But, Taiga came out, a year ago? A year and a half? And then the Tiger version came out a couple months ago, and that was also 27,000 yen or 28,000 yen. About 10,000 yen of a difference. Honestly, I think you can make the argument that Taiga should cost more money considering how much hair she has, but that's not the reality. It's that these figures are more expensive than Taiga just because these things cost more money to make these days, which is why I'm ultimately not going to be buying these. I mean, personally, I was probably never going to unless they were very, cheap, because I just collect Taiga figures. I feel like there might be some expectations for me to buy these just because you guys always see me talk about Taiga, but I gotta be honest, I don't really care. I'm not trying to say these figures are bad. I think they look great overall, but because they're exclusive and very expensive, I feel like it's a hard sell. It's just a shame. I feel like there's no reason these should have been exclusive, and the huge jump in price are just gonna put people off. It just kind of sullies a rather nice announcement, It's a big shame. It's a really big shame. But I don't really have that much else to say. I'm just glad it happened. I don't like how it happened, but I like that it happened. But the final freeing figure we have to talk about today is none other than Marin Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling. This figure made quite the uproar when it was announced, and not in the greatest way. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't really like this one, and I can kind of understand why. You take a character like Marin, who's a cosplayer, also a model, very pretty character, and you just throw her in a very basic bunny suit with a tie from her uniform, like her school uniform, and you call it a day. I don't understand where that inspiration comes from. I get the callback to what she looks like going to school, but why? A lot of people are making mock-up images of what she should look like, in particular outfits that have been seen in the manga, right? Just something that they would have preferred that Freeing would do. But I gotta be honest, the reality is Freeing doesn't care. Freeing doesn't really try that hard with a lot of these designs. They're just gonna do whatever they want. And a lot of people are still gonna buy this figure, so why would they stop? Why would they try extra hard when they have an audience that are going to buy most of what they make anyway, But if you look at this figure in a bubble, you don't compare it to anything else, it's fine. It's really not that bad. She's got that nice pink gradient in her hair. They remembered to make her nails very long, and her expression is fairly accurate. Maybe not one-to-one perfect, but fairly close. I think the only thing I don't like about this figure, the one thing that actually does bother me, is her ears. I don't know why they're so tiny. I just kind of wish that they actually stole from other bunny figures and then just plopped them onto this figure, because as it stands, I find it to be a little strange. Doesn't look as good. I just wish they were longer. I don't know. They made little ties around the suit towards her hips. That's a little different. But yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting situation. People love to complain about this company and then buy their stuff up anyway. Do you expect anything to change if you do that? I don't get it. I really don't. You're not setting an example. You're not telling the company that you're dissatisfied if you actually buy the product. You're actually telling them that you love it. So there's no point in complaining. If you complain and buy it, then you just wasted your time. So I don't know. Sorry if that sounded kind of mean or rude, but it's just something that's like always on my mind. People love to complain about this company and then buy their stuff anyway. Like, I know FOMO is a real thing, but Marin's a very popular character, and she's got a ton of figures on the way. Like, you don't need this one. You could just skip it and buy something else if you don't like it. Again, if you do, go for it. I don't think this is bad at all, but it's just not what people are looking for. But buying it makes it look like it is what you want. So that's it. That's the rant. Sorry if that was annoying. Let's jump over to some more figures. I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but in a lot of these pre-order roundups, I like to write notes down beforehand or even script some of these sections, because sometimes I'm looking at these figures and I can't think of exactly what I want to say on the fly, so I want to make sure that things flow naturally, but I just didn't have the time to do that today. So instead, I've just kind of been going off the dome and thinking of things to say, like whatever comes to me, and as a result, I probably rambled a lot in that past section of the Good Smile Company figures. So for the next batch, I'm gonna go kind of quickly. Truthfully, I don't have a lot to say about some of these, but I don't want to skip them. For example, we have the Puchirama DX Dragon Ball Z Birth 01 figure. It's a nice little collage of a couple of the different forms of Goku, even to like the point of giving us a kid Goku on the Nimbus Cloud. I think that's awesome. This is made by Mega House, who typically don't make Dragon Ball merch. Pretty much only Bandai does, at least officially. But I think that's neat. Now, this is a small figure. It's about 5 inches tall, 130 millimeters down here. And yeah, the price reflects that. So just keep in mind, if you're interested in buying this, it's not going to be very big. And truthfully, I feel like there are a lot of nice Dragon Ball Z figures, whether posable or not, official or not, that you could pick up instead of this one. But I figured it's a cool concept, worth pointing out at the very least. Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon from Mega House. This thing is super sick. Kinda looks like a Gunpla, but it's not Gundam related. It's not a model kit at all. You don't have to paint it. You don't gotta build it. Thank God, because it's 42,000 yen, but that doesn't stop it from looking super badass and super cool. This thing is mostly purple in its color palette. Lots of bright purple for the cyber wings. I think they look awesome, how large the wingspan is. On closer inspection, you can see the dark purple paint. Lots of black, lots of red, like panel lining. Just lots of mechanical detail, which is always something I appreciate. You don't really get that with anime girl figures for the most part, so it's just refreshing for me to see at the very least. Yeah, this thing looks awesome, with the one exception. These effect pieces right here really stick out. They're just like one flat yellow color. I don't mind the sculpt, but I feel like the color leaves a lot to be desired. Just feels like they pulled it from something else. They didn't add any shading to it whatsoever. Even like transparent, like clearish pieces would have been a little better in my opinion than what they went with for this figure. But if that's the one complaint, not really a big deal, just don't use the pieces. I don't really think it adds that much to the figure anyway. In fact, I think it takes away from like the cool, sleek look of this dragon. So yeah, I just wouldn't use them. But everything else, super sick. I'm always going to show my appreciation for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters whenever they make some figures that look this freaking good. Sakura Kinomoto Sakura card is getting a re-release. Now, this was a very expensive figure on the aftermarket, couple extra $100 on top of the retail price. So it's really nice that Kotobukiya finally released this figure. I think all of their figures under the Sakura line, the Card Captor Sakura line, are pretty fantastic. They've done a great job with this series so far. In fact, I'm trying to think if they've done anything recent with this line. They really should if they haven't. But yeah, 15,700 yen for like a really cute figure of the character. Can't go wrong. If you like this figure, I say pick it up before you regret it. But yeah, just a nice one to see. Hell's Paradise got 3 figures this month, the first one being Gabi Maru. I think it's the best of the 3, honestly. His face looks so intense, so fierce, and I love how his hand is just ablaze. And these 4 effect pieces are all like coming into the hand, and I love the color of them. The mix of purple and orange looks awesome. Really cool figure, 22,000 yen, not that bad, but he does have a stand to support some of the effect pieces, I think, at least one of them. So there is that about this figure, which isn't great, but, you know, could be worse. I think for the most part, this is very cool. Yuzuriha is also getting a figure. This one is 24,700 yen, a little bit more, mostly because of the base being a bit more involved this time. Honestly, I wish the colors of the tree were a bit more vibrant. I guess it's a bit more realistic in that sense. I do like the color of Yuzuriha herself, mostly purple. I love the way her hair is done, and she's wearing a rather revealing outfit. Doesn't really hide that much at the chest or the hips, so, you know, rather alluring character design. I think she looks for the most part good. I would say my second favorite, though, of the 3 characters. But the final figure is the Yamada figure, and this one goes back to costing 22,000 yen, but I don't really like this one that much. Now, I have not watched this yet. I don't know if this is like a callback to the show, a very specific scene, but I find her pose to be very static, considering that there is a huge swirling like wind effect going around her. It's a nice effect piece for sure, even though I wish there was some more colors in it, like the Gabi Maru figure, but I just don't really love the fact that she's just standing there, but she looks fine. I think it looks better than the Pop-Up Parade's face or the Nendoroid. I didn't really like either of their faces that much on those 2 figures, so I think this is the best figure of her so far, but I think they could have tried a little bit harder with this one, but it's not that bad. Riddle Joker Nanami Arihara is a 1 3/5 scale. This thing is gigantic, costing 35,600 yen. I'm not really put off by that price. I feel like that's pretty appropriate for a figure of this size, and I feel like having to sculpt the school uniform and the bra and the panties and her long hair, it all adds up to making sense. You can see an image right here of someone holding the figure, and it's absolutely massive, but I actually like this one quite a bit. Nothing I'm going to buy, but she's pretty cute, and I like the amount of detail they put into the underwear. You can say what you want, but I just genuinely find like stuff like this, where it's like very frilly and wrinkly to like a realistic degree, to be rather impressive, just like sculpt-wise. But yeah, obviously this is a very lewd figure, right? The shirt is open, she's lifting the skirt. Not sure if this is a cast-off. I could have sworn I saw this as a cast-off somewhere, but none of the images in this gallery are. Cute figure, very big, pretty lewd, but might be worth, I don't know. Dragon Princess Warrior Colitis from DC Tier. I don't know this company's quality, can't speak on it, but this design is something. She's gagged to the point of drooling, I think. It certainly looks like it, but the image isn't high quality enough for me to actually tell, but I think that's what's going on. So yeah, it's basically just like a Dragon Girl design where she's really not wearing much, just like straps over the skin-tight suit. It's really nicely shaded though, all things considered. And the like outfit, whatever you call it, just the straps, look good. Like everything about this figure is surprisingly nice. Even the wings, like everything looks pretty high quality from these promotional images. I'm not sure if she has underwear on. I don't think she does. They're covering her like crotch completely, like every single time in every one of these images. So that's information you're gonna have to look up yourself. Can't help you there. But for 23,000 yen, I feel like this is an appropriately priced figure, and it looks good. Mari and Ellie from Lovely are 1/4 scale figures. I don't think you can buy them separately, and they also come with this gigantic bench. So this is going to take up a humongous amount of space in your collection if you pick this up. Now, I actually can't go through the gallery for this one because some of these images are just not censored. Like, this is a cast-off, but Ami didn't even try to censor the images, so I'm just gonna leave it here. It's 2 girls chilling on a bench in their bikinis with like a sweatshirt and some leggings. Pretty good design overall. I like their faces, they're cute. But yeah, be prepared. The shipping price on this thing, it's gonna be quite the price, I think. I don't even want to think about it, but yeah, I think it adds up. Like, this is really expensive, but it's 2 really big figures, right? So it makes sense that it would cost this much money. And the bench looks nice. That's a really big piece. You gotta think about that. So yeah, I think this company's on the come up. They have some other figures that I feel like are pretty popular, but we'll save that for another time. And then we got 2 figures from Union Creative. The first one is Midwinter Strategy for 22,000 yen. She's got a nice, mature look to her. I think it adds to the allure of this character. She's got a pretty nice face. Her dress looks lovely. The chest looks good. I like the fact that she comes with the stool just to emphasize her legs a little bit. Makes the figure look a bit sexier in my opinion. The most unique thing about this figure though is that she just has a bunch of snowflake tattoos like around her arms and chest and her thighs down here, and I guess even the ankle. So yeah, very unique in that regard. But then there's also Unichan, who's pretty attractive as well. His character is only in her bikini for the most part. She has a jacket, but it's kind of just like hanging off her arms a little bit. Like the look. She comes with a mask, but you can take it off. I like both looks actually. I love her smirk. Her eyes look great here. But then she also has tattoos, this time of butterflies, only by like her neck. But they look cool, right? Just kind of nice to see something a little different. Really don't get tattoos on figures ever. Goes without saying, but this is a rather busty figure as well. I don't know if you get to see what her backside looks like. I don't think you do, but body definition looks good. Stomach especially, I just love the way they sculpted her stomach. And the jacket looks good. Just the way it's bunched up on itself just looks really good. So yeah, not a bad showing from Union Creative this month. There's a new Urza Scarlet figure from Fairy Tail by Bellfine. Now this one costs about 25,000 yen. At the 1/8 scale, that is kind of expensive, but there are some things about this that do justify the price. For instance, the giant flag, which I don't know if other figures of her have a flag, so that would make this unique, and I do like the sculpt of it just kind of like billowing a little bit. The gold looks really nice, and of course the plating of the armor, very shiny, very metallic in the way they painted it, so that looks great. I think the pose is good. I like how angry she looks too. Love the expression on her face, but you also get an entire new torso and head. Now, the question is, can you put this head on the other body? Because I don't think there's a single image in this gallery that would imply that, but I think the hair sculpts are exactly the same, at least from what I can tell. So you should be able to do that, but just in case, you might want to look into that when this actually gets released. But yeah, I can't say I can recall another figure that like takes the plating off and then just shows you like the little top underneath. I think it looks good, and I like how different the expression is on this faceplate. So yeah, you're getting a decent amount here for 25,000 yen, and I don't really think there's that much to complain about. I think it looks pretty good, one of her better figures so far, if you ask me. So I'm gonna give Bellfine the benefit of the doubt and say that they got something pretty good cooking. Oshinoko's Eye from Furyu. This is a 16,600 yen figure from the company, which is kind of surprising because they often overcharge for their figures, but this one's really reasonable. Now, when we talked about this series at One Hobby, I didn't watch it. I didn't really know what to talk about, but since then, I have caught up, and I chose the absolute worst time to catch up because the last episode was the worst cliffhanger to end on. So I don't know, I really should have waited a little bit longer, but I'm in there, I'm enjoying the show quite a bit. But this specific figure, I feel like it's not as good as Kitagawa's. I feel like Kitagawa has the better figure, even though it costs a little bit more. I just don't really feel the art style of Eye in this figure. Her face looks a little bit off. I don't feel like this figure is as vibrant, and I'm just not really overall impressed with it. I don't think it's that bad. For the price tag, it's fine. I like the little base. It's very cute with the stage lights, and the pose is very lively, but I just feel like Kitagawa really did a good job with the first figure of this character, so now others have to top that one. But if you can't afford it for whatever reason, this one is serviceable, but I would say save up. Also putting it out there, I am Team Kana. I will be waiting for figures of her. I think Kotobukiya is making one, so I anticipate seeing it. No idea what like outfit she's gonna be wearing because I've only seen the anime. Don't spoil me. But yeah, can't wait. Speaking of Kotobukiya, next up is Trigun Stampede's Vash, and if you ask me, I think this is one of their best figures this year. I truly mean that, and I have yet to watch this show. This just looks like them at their A game. They have done such a good job bringing Vash to life. The colors, just like this action pose that he's in, is very dynamic. Love the way the coat is just flowing in the back. The perspective trick they managed to pull off with the base, you lose a little bit of it when you turn the figure around. In fact, it doesn't really work at all when you turn the figure around. But from the front, everything is in the distance, and it really feels that way, right? Like, it just looks awesome. Really have nothing to complain about. The pants are super wrinkly, the colors are super vibrant. They really like nailed the character design too. But my god, did they have to make this so annoying of a re-release, because not only does he have one additional faceplate that you don't get by buying the standard release, he has two. And not only that, but you can't get either unless you use a proxy site. Now, you have the Kotobukiya exclusive, which for some reason isn't available at the US store, which is a huge shame because this smiling faceplate's great, and I don't get the point of having a storefront in the US if you're not gonna bring your exclusive like bonuses to that store. Really don't understand that. But then they're also making an exclusive faceplate for the Toho store, the Toho Animation store. If I can find the image of it, I don't know if these images are great. All right, this will do for now. I might add a better resolution image in post, but just so I could talk about it while it's in front of my face. This one's him shouting. Vash is shouting while the gun is being pointed at somebody, and it just looks awesome. I think this is my favorite faceplate of the three. But honestly, I think all three faceplates work with the figure's pose, which is really impressive. They've done a great job making all of these work together, but like, why is it so hard, man? I want to praise this, but you made it so hard for your fan base to buy these other faceplates, and I don't understand. Like, Trigun is definitely popular in the West. If anything, it's probably more popular over here, considering it was an Adult Swim show, and a lot of people got into anime with Adult Swim. So, I don't know, guys. Like, I feel like you should make some of these faceplates easily available for us. You know there's a huge market over here, but whatever. I don't know. Obviously, I like this company. They make some great stuff, but I just wish they would make these things easier to get, or at least one of them. The Kotobukiya store where he's smiling, that should be available in the US store at the very least. I really hope they don't hate me for that little rant, but let's move on. Kotobukiya, I love you, but please make these easier for us to get. Anyway, next up, if I could find the tab for it, is the Sophie Corneria figure. This is absolutely adorable. This caught me off guard so hard. It's another figure that like wasn't on my radar, but I'm kind of thinking about buying it because of how cute, so goddamn cute this figure actually is. I liked it when it wasn't painted, but the color palette of this girl is so good. And the amount of like weathering and just like, I don't know, wear on these gold fists, if these images would load, goddamn. I have no idea what you would call these weapons. They kind of look like cloches, like you would show a turkey underneath or something, like you're serving dinner. But my god, does like the paint job on this look phenomenal. And she's adorable. I don't know if this is supposed to be a cat girl. I feel like it might be, but her hair also might just be tied up in a specific way that kind of looks like it, but also looks like a ribbon from the front. So someone could let me know if they've played this game. But yeah, the outfit's adorable. Just like the cutesy kimono with like the frilly on top and then the feathers in the back. Her like shoes are kind of lifted up a little bit because she's so short. It's adorable. I don't know, man. I just really like the colors of this figure. Her face is adorable. The weapons are unique. It's kind of a shame that you need to support it with a support rod. You can find it right here. Not the biggest deal, in my opinion. This figure costs 24,000 yen, which is a lot of money, but at the same time, it's not super short, I guess. It's a little shorter than average, of course, but I don't know. I feel like the quality is there, but I don't know if this will be like a bargain binner. Alter really likes to release their figures in like large quantities. I kind of want to play the gamble on this one because I have no business pre-ordering a figure of a character that I don't know at all. And you could do that, right? You're totally allowed to do that. I just don't want to do that right now because I'm buying way too much stuff. But yeah, man, this is a really great looking figure. Love the headpiece, like the sun and the moon over here, just kind of, I guess, swaying in both ways depending on, I guess, the way her head tilts. Adorable. Absolutely love it. Super cutesy. But they also had this Shikibu figure, a 1/6 scale for 36,000 yen. Now this is really expensive. I was not prepared for this price tag, but it looks large, right? I don't know how large Shikibu is supposed to be, but these Raita character designs, they always look like the tallest women. Her size is 270 millimeters, which is actually taller than Corneria. Might just be the tip of the paintbrush making that happen, but at the very least it seems like they'll be comparable despite her being on her knees. So this is a rather large piece, right? Now, absolutely gorgeous. I think objectively one of the best figures we're looking at today. The glass pen, if that's what it's supposed to be, it certainly looks like it's made of glass. Looks so pretty, right? just the colors that are blended into this like translucent plastic. It's colored in a couple of different ways. You got like a little bit of purple, a light green, a blue up here. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. The way her hair is done, the shading of her hair, the colors on her outfit, this humongous sash that's all around her, colored in this like super vibrant purple. I wouldn't be surprised if this sash is making up like a fourth or even a third of the price tag because of how large it is and how many tassels are just attached to it. Really, really fucking nice looking. Also, she's pretty thick, which is a plus for everybody, I think. Yeah, also, man, her hair looks so good from the back. Like, I don't know, this is like kind of a masterpiece figure. I kind of want it, but it's really expensive and alter figures kind of bin these days. So I don't know. Not a figure I absolutely need, but man, if I catch them slipping on this, if people are like not buying this and it goes down, down, down in price, I might be buying it. But I don't need it right now. But I think it's a gorgeous one. I really think it's one of the best figures of this month for sure, in terms of like just quality. Alter just knows how to make a 10 out of 10, like almost every time. This company just rarely misses. Tales of Destiny 2's Rila is getting a figure from Furyu. This is costing 40,000 yen, but this is a rather involved figure. There's a lot going on. Now, unfortunately, the first thing I'm seeing on this image are a bunch of acrylic stands to keep this figure up, which are necessary, but they're right there in the front, so it kind of sucks that it's hurting the visual appeal of this figure. But everything besides that, love it. I think I remember talking about this figure and its unique color palette. Everything is very bright and cutesy up top, but then on the bottom of this figure are these decrepit looking blue branches. There's a little bit of like flowers blooming on them. I don't know if there's better images of it. You can see them down here, but it's just really interesting to me, but I love it for it. I don't know who designed this character, but there's just something about this figure that really reminds me of Cardcaptor Sakura. I don't know if it's just because she has a figure like this, or it's like her eyes or something, but I just keep thinking of that series when I look at this piece. But yeah, this figure's rather pretty, and I also find it really, I don't know, different that they use translucent plastic instead of opaque for the bow tie and like the ribbon around her staff. Just not really like the type of plastic I would expect to see for these pieces, but I kind of like them. I like the different types of plastic used on this piece. But yeah, just a unique one overall. Never would have expected to see a figure of her. And I like the fact that they're doing it, because I like when they bring back these old video game characters. Hatsune Miku Digital Stars 2022 version. This figure had a lot of hype and excitement behind it, but it's very expensive. I think that price tag of 54,000 yen is going to keep a lot of people away, myself included, honestly. I don't really see myself picking this one up, but it's fucking awesome. Just the design is spectacular. It's Miku in this like punk rock outfit. Her hair and the flag on the microphone, it kind of looks like just flames behind her, right? She's standing on a whole bunch of speakers and amps, and there's a bunch of wires behind the figure. It just kind of kills it in every way. It's so cool looking, right? I love this art style for Miku as well, just very refreshing compared to like all the other Mikus we get from, say, Good Small Company. They all kind of have the same look, but this one just, I don't know, has a bit more style to it. At least for me, it just feels a bit more stylish. Not only Miku herself, but her outfit as well, very stylish stuff. The leggings are ripped, the shoes have devil horns on them, as well as the headband. The little like fabric pieces also kind of look like flames on top of the head. There's just a lot here, and I'm sure if you just like take a minute to glance it all over, find some better images than what are on Ami Ami, honestly, you will probably fall in love with this one. But it's super expensive, it's also super tall, might even be a liability. Not sure how this is constructed. I would be a little nervous, just depending on like how the assembly is when you finally get this figure. But one of the standouts for the month. I mean, like, goddamn, does it look cool. I don't know what else to say, though. I don't even know how to segue into the next figure. So, yeah, if you got a lot of money, I say go for it. But I think a lot of people won't be, because it's just, you know, a lot of money. Knives Out's agent Nikishia is a figure from NetEase Games. I don't know this IP, not really familiar with the manufacturer as well, but just under 20,000 yen for what is rather elaborate, with a ton of guns and like cases, probably for ammo and stuff like that. Her dress is just like all over the base too. She's got really long hair, despite it just being in a ponytail. Like, there's still a lot of flow to it. It's pretty cool. What's funny about this one is that you get like a DLC code or something with this figure. It says it down here. You get the Memorial Costume Set Exchange Code card. So probably this outfit in the game if you play the game. I couldn't find this figure on MFC, so I don't even know if a lot of people know about this one. But I feel like this would fit well with a lot of these other figures that come out. There's a lot of like girls with guns. Like these figures just kind of get pumped out these days. Like it's just cool to a lot of people, and I totally understand that. But it might get lost in the sea of all these figures. So, I mean, if you didn't know about it, now you do, and it's really reasonable. But I bet the shipping will be a lot as well on this one. Azur Lane's Arc Royal. Now, there is a regular edition of this figure as well as a limited edition, but unfortunately, it's going to cost you like 7,000 yen just to get a winking faceplate. I can't possibly imagine that's worth it, but it is a cute faceplate if you do decide to go with that. But, you know, another figure of a girl with a gun, very attractive girl with a gun at that, but this one is pretty damn impressive. This dress is humongous. Like, holy shit. Just imagine how much space this is going to take up on your shelf, but it's really impressive looking. It's absolutely gorgeous, just like the wrinkles and the creases of this thing. The book is also humongous, as well as her gun. Like, there's just a lot of, like, giant props and accessories to this thing. That looks like a big feather. What is that on her dress? I can't really tell. Is there, like, a better image of that? I don't really know if there is. No idea what that is. Yeah, there's a lot going on under the hood of this, so to speak. But she looks good. She looks real good. Wow. Yeah, this one's kind of like, wow. You know? Who's making this? This is made by Oriental Forest. I don't really know a lot of their work. Their, like, brand isn't down here either. I can't click it and find out very easily. Yeah, man, this just seems like something you should definitely keep your eye out on if you like this character. But yeah, can't imagine this is for everybody either, but that's okay. You know, not everybody needs this like humongous dress waifu with a humongous gun and a giant feather by her side. I don't know what's going on, but I do really like it. It's rather interesting. Honor of Kings Daji from Mythos. I actually know Daji because I played Smite a little bit back in the day. That was a while ago, actually. Yeah, this is a figure that I have not seen before. I don't think this one's on Good Small Company's website, despite them usually carrying the Mythos figures. But as you would expect, it's rather pretty. Interesting design choice to make all of the tails a little bit like semi-translucent. I have to imagine that's just a trait of this character. It kind of makes it look a little bit ghostly, a little bit otherworldly in a way. But I don't know, it's interesting. It's definitely not what I would expect, but it's not that it looks bad. But it definitely makes it a vibe, I guess. She's very pretty. Love this color scheme of just like pink, red, and then like silver. Her outfit almost looks tutu-esque in a way, like a ballerina or something. It's rather pretty. I have to imagine this base is representing like a lake or a pond, maybe even like a very tiny waterfall of sorts, just because there's like water running down the rocks right here. There's petals floating, right? You got the lotus flower over here, and then just like a lantern for the aesthetic. It's all rather nice. Maybe not like the most exciting Mythos figure I've ever seen, but it's pretty gorgeous nonetheless. But yeah, definitely one that I have not seen many people talk about. Apex finally put up their OMG Kawaii Angel-chan, or K-Angel. This is from Needy Streamer Overload, or Needy Girl Overdose, depending on which region you're from. And yeah, this one's been quite a roller coaster for me. Now, I love this game. It was a real, like, just out of nowhere experience. Just like a friend told me to play this and I had a fucking blast doing so. But this figure is like really, really good, except I don't like the face that much. I just don't think of the game's pixel art when I look at her face, but I love everything else about it. And I don't think everybody agrees with me. I think a lot of people love this figure and I'm happy for them, but I just can't get over the fact that I just don't like her face that much. There's just something about it. It's a little scrunched for me. Maybe the cheeks. It's just not really working, but love the colors. You know, she's got some adorable colors, mostly like this very light blue, the pink and blue, just like helix twin tails, right? It's very cutesy. And then she has this like amazing base, which lights up. I think there's an image of it. Just they added a light up feature to it. Don't even need that to like this base, but I love the feature nonetheless. It's cute on its own. But then you also get like a bunch of windows from the game, right? I think that's like her Twitter feed. There's probably the room that you have to like monitor. Like this one right here, I think that's basically just like her stream setup. I haven't played the game in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's the screenshot from the game, or at least something that's mimicking it. But yeah, I think that's a really fun idea considering the game was just like managing her stream for the most part. And then there's these like cool digital waves that are just circling the figure. But yeah, I think this is good, just not for me, because I can't get over that like one detail. But it's really reasonably priced. It has like a nice elaborate base that's very fitting for the character. Fits in themes with the game as well, right? Makes you think of the source material, and you know, the rest of the sculpts is pretty damn on point. So I think it gets a recommendation if you don't have a problem like I do. If you don't see a problem with her face, then you're gonna get something really good. But for me, I don't know. I really don't know what it is. There's something about it I don't like. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our scale figures. But I do have one more I really want to talk about. And if you know me, you probably know what it is. But just because you're all gonna humor me, I'll talk about a couple of Nendoroids really quickly. I don't normally do this, and I don't really plan to in the future, but while I'm here, we'll highlight some of my favorites this month. We got Guts. I think Guts looks good. He costs 7,500 yen, which I think is reasonable because he's in like plated armor. He's got a cape and whatnot. Comes with his Dragon Slayer, of course, and a cannon arm, which looks fine. No projectile, unfortunately. But, you know, they chose some good faces for him. Nothing too complex. You don't get a ton of stuff, but I do think it's a nice showing for the character. There is a Tails Nendoroid. This one looks weird. I don't like it, but I want to talk about it anyway. I just don't know what went wrong. Like, it looks like Tails, but it also is like uncanny Tails, especially this image. I hate this image. There's something about this image that just bothers the hell out of me. His head looks so weird. It's because he's like so close to being like accurate proportionally, but he's not. So there's just, I don't know, it doesn't work for me. His head's just the wrong shape or something. It just bugs the hell out of me, but I don't know, whatever. It's cool that we're getting Tails. I hope I like Knuckles more. There is a Yotsuba Nendoroid, the winter clothes version. I just like the fact that Yotsuba is getting more figures. She is super cute. One day I would like to read Yotsuba, but I have not. But it's just fun. She just comes with a lot of fun faceplates, right? Not too many accessories, but the bear's cute. Madara just got a Nendoroid out of nowhere, no tease, no announcement, just went up one day, and I think that's awesome. Good Small Company loves making these Naruto Nendoroids, which I think is cool, because, you know, we don't get any for, like, Bleach. We don't get any for, I don't know, Dragon Ball, One Piece. Just, like, all these really mainstream anime. It's only really Naruto that they make Nendoroids for, which is kind of interesting. I know there's a couple for Bleach, but I'm just saying overall, Naruto has a ton of them. And I think they did a pretty good job with it. He gets the scythe, he gets the fan, he's got a lot of faceplates. Like, it's pretty expressive all around, and I don't know why you wouldn't like this if you like Madara. Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4. I personally think the JoJo Nendoroids are pretty fun. They give you a lot of accessories. I feel like they want to make sure you're happy with your purchase. Not exactly sure if they all turn out great, but it seems like when I look at them in their pre-order page, they always have a ton of stuff, and Kira is no different. A lot of fun accessories with this guy, some that you probably shouldn't really think too hard about if you haven't read or watched this, but they're great. As well as the fact that he gets both of his looks, which I think this looks amazing, honestly. But I love the fact that he just gets the stray cat as an accessory if you get him through the Good Small site. That's such a fun little bonus, and it's so cute. Just like a little tiny plant monster. Yeah, looks great. Love it. And the last Nendoroid I pulled up was the Hatsune Miku School Sakai version, which I just find adorable. Love this outfit. Love the pink tips. Love the black and pink color scheme. She comes with a guitar and a pick. That's her only accessories, really, but she's got some great faceplates. Not really a jam-packed Nendoroid, but a cute design nonetheless, if you could stomach the 8,000 yen price tag, which not everybody can. These Nendoroids are getting very expensive, but I like this design. So these were the ones I wanted to highlight for this month, but keep in mind we do get more than that, so I encourage you to check out the page if you didn't know any of these figures were coming out. But the one figure I want to talk about, of course, I gotta talk about Mio. I don't even talk about Figmas that much, but they gave me Mio this month, and I hope you enjoy listening to me for a minute or two, because this is so fucking perfect. Can't believe they outdid themselves. Now, I will say there is one tiny thing wrong with it, but only the big fans will give a shit about it, alright? So, Mio. Love this character. She gets 4 faceplates, which is a lot. Figma usually get 3. She's just getting 4. And then for accessories, she gets her dual moon blades, a diary, and a flute. As well as, if I could find it, a long hair piece. Now, the fact that they actually included her long hair is crazy, but it was a hopeful wish because this is the opportunity for it to happen. The scale's not gonna have it. There's no way. If it does, I'm gonna look real stupid, but I just don't see them doing it. I feel like Good Smile Company doesn't do a lot of like hair swapping, so the fact that we get the long hair here, absolutely love it. This is a lot of accessories. This is essentially all she needs. This is everything I can think of besides a pen, right? A pen to write in the diary. The pen does have a design, but they don't include it. But I can forgive that because it's a really, really small thing anyway. Not a big deal. But it just makes me happy, man. Like, they just killed it with this one. You get everything you would really want with this Mio Figma. Now, the one thing they did mess up is her core crystal at her chest. It's supposed to be blue and pink, but they got lazy and it's only blue. Now, again, a lot of people probably aren't going to care about this, but if you play these games, there is a significant reason as to why it is that color. So I feel like if they want to be faithful, they should actually touch it up. We're not asking for much, just a little bit of pink in there, and we'll all be happy, all right? But besides that one little detail, this pretty much hit it out of the park. I adore this. I bought 2 of them. I kind of want 3. I could use 4. I did actually buy 2 though. I just really like this character. And yeah, you know what? Could they have done more with this? Sure. They could have made her ears posable. She's very expressive with her ears in the game, but it's fine. It's really fine. It just makes me want the scale figure more because this is already cute and it's just a small Figma. Like, I like Figma, but you know, I collect mostly scale, so I really am anticipating how nice the scale figure is going to look. But I think I'm going to be talking about Xenoblade pretty soon anyway with the release of Nia. So I'll leave it at that. And yeah, that's going to do it for our pre-order roundup. Pretty good month, I think. I think there was a lot of like highlights in this month that are noteworthy. Things you should keep your eye out on. Lots of pretty figures, lots of cool figures, lots of grandiose pieces. There's just a lot of stuff this time. So I wouldn't hesitate to say that this is one of the better months of the year so far. But let me know what you guys think of this episode, just the figures in general. I'll be sure to read your comments down below if you leave any. Leave me a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to support it. I got some affiliate links if you want to support me that way. But yeah, I'll see you guys shortly, whenever the next video is, hopefully in a week or so. And until then, take care. See ya.